Yesterday, the DOJ's Inspector General released his report stating that the FBI was justified in investigating you-know-who's campaign ties to Russia, even though they were sloppy about it. And if you recall, that's the same thing they said about Hillary. They said her stuff was a little sloppy.
Yeah.
But there was no reason to move forward. But you-know-who is still sticking by his story, child. Still sticking by it. Take a look.
This was an overthrow of government. This was an attempted overthrow, and a lot of people were in on it, and they got caught. It's an incredible thing that happened, and we're lucky we caught them. I think I'm going to put this down as one of our great achievements, because what we found and what we saw, never, ever should this happen again in our country.
So now FBI Director Christopher Wray, who was appointed by you-know-who, took issue with him trying to make the FBI the bad guys when he sat down with ABC newsman Pierre Thomas. Take a look.
As far as you know, based on the findings in the Inspector General report, is the FBI, was it part of some deep state?
Well, I think that's the kind of label that is a disservice to the 37,000 men and women who work at the FBI, who I think tackle their jobs with professionalism, with rigor, with objectivity, and with courage. So that's not a term I would ever use to describe our workforce, and I think it's an affront to them.
So if he doesn't trust the guy that he appointed, why did he appoint him? I mean, I don't understand. I mean,
I think most of the American public is on board with that.
Yeah. It's like, but I'm happy he's saying, listen, those folks are busting their behinds.
Yeah.
People who work at the FBI, CIA, all of those, yeah, they could be sloppy. They're human.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, you can't poop on them. You can't do it. Because it's not okay.
Well, sometimes they're corrupt, though. In the past, they have been. J. Edgar Hoover was relentlessly investigating Martin Luther King for no reason except that he didn't like that he had power.
As I said, you have to do the work.
Yeah.
If there is a hint of corruption, you got to check.
Right.
Now, nobody was checking because nobody cared that J. Edgar Hoover was after Martin Luther King, because they didn't see us as being part of the natural fabric of the United States. So that's why that went on. And also allowing things to happen to hippies and yippies. And all that happened. All that stuff happened.
Hoover had a lot of power in those
I know
days.
he did. And this one's got a lot of power right now.
Well,
and the question is, the guy he's hired is saying, don't talk to my people like this, because they're working their butts off.
I think what was terrible was that this investigation that spent a lot of taxpayer dollars was started because Trump said my campaign was spied upon.
Yeah.
And William Barr, by
By
Obama, and the FBI.
Remember those good old days?
And
when it was just Obama spying?
Spying, and he tweeted that out, started this huge investigation. William Barr, the Attorney General, also then said, yes, I believe there was spying. And now you have the report that everyone, Lindsey Graham was saying that report is going to be so damning. You had Tucker Carlson, you had Lou Dobbs, that report going to be Ted Cruz. That report is going to be so damning. Well, the report said no documentary or testimonial evidence that political bias or improper motivation influenced the decisions to launch the investigation. No FBI spies planted in the Trump Tower. Nada. Nothing, Burger.
Well, I don't think we
Nada, nada, nada. So are we going to hear the apologies?
No.
What's going to happen?
Nothing.
What's going to happen now after he's smeared
another
the
thing.
lives and
Something
reputations of FBI agents?
Both sides are going to cherry pick parts of this report that make their side look better.
To be sure, there were some parts of the report that said
maybe there were some
Just really
mistakes
quick,
made.
they said that
sloppy.
there were 17 inaccuracies and omissions in the FISA process,
Yeah.
and that there was some FBI misconduct and plenty of wrongdoing in the FISA process. And I think part of the problem with this is you will see it through whatever lens that your political bias is at. As you were pointing out, people make mistakes. Everyone's human. Everyone has an innate political bias. I think my problem is President Trump gets so out over his skis with his rhetoric. All of a sudden, there's deep state spies in Trump Tower, and President Obama's trying to get him and all this stuff. And if there are actual legitimate concerns, his rhetoric has expanded it so forth that it's hard to believe where the truth lies someplace in the middle. And that's why he continues to ruin himself politically, because the truth, there's probably some misconduct someplace, but it wasn't deep state spying implanted by little green men probes in Trump Tower.
Exactly. It
Well,
didn't
but
happen. It didn't happen.
He's getting paranoid the way Nixon was starting to talk to
But that
paintings
happened,
on the
but
wall.
that happened before he was in office.
There's a bigger piece to this report, and it's the libertarian in me that's coming out. And I think every single free-loving American
that's
that
true.
doesn't want to be snooped on or spied on should care about this. Because what Megan's talking about, the 17 significant errors or omissions, that was just for the FISA application for a campaign aid. If that can happen to Carter Page, that can happen to any one of us in this room.
It has happened to Americans all over
the
the
small
country.
part of one FISA application, but when you have the president and the attorney general saying that his campaign was spied
Sonny,
upon,
I see this.
that's very
I see
different,
this as
Abby.
going
It's very different.
I see this as going beyond the president. This is how this department is operating and the standards that we hold to be able to spy on an American citizen.
You can't say that the
This is all gonna
entire
be an issue
FBI
after
department
Here's
is
what's
doing
interesting
that.
about
That's
all of
not
this.
the problem.
We'll be right back.